Hey, thanks for joining us today. This video is going to cover tax deed and tax lien auction seasons that are just getting started. We're moving into the fall seasons in several states, and really just want to focus on the markets you should be paying attention to as we come to a close for the summer and get ready for some of these big auction seasons coming up. So let's get started and talk about our market totals. So in the last couple of weeks, we've added 143,000 plus properties to Parcelfair. Almost all of those were tax liens, 132,000 of them. 10,000 of those were tax deeds, so there's still a lot to pay attention to in the tax deed additions there. 1,000 foreclosures and about a dozen land bank properties. If we break that down by market and just talk about foreclosures, you can see that Florida had the most foreclosures added, followed by Colorado, and then you move into North Carolina, Indiana, South Carolina. So there's 5 states you can shop from on our site right now. Foreclosures are sort of a piece of the puzzle that we add, since tax investors often want to look at foreclosures too. Over-the-counter ads, Alabama had the most, and I do have to remind you, this is typically because properties leave the Alabama over-the-counter inventory and get added back. This is something kind of new that we've noticed this past year. The good news is sometimes when a property leaves and then comes back, you can jump to the front of the queue because it resets when they add the property back. It's not guaranteed, it's just sort of a dynamic we've been noticing. So pay attention to those properties that get added in Alabama to the Alabama Department of Revenue inventory, and you want to apply to those that have just been added so you have a shorter wait. The next over-the-counter state is, of course, Florida, then Arkansas. We finally saw Arkansas pick up a little bit in the last couple weeks. Arizona had a few ads, then Mississippi, Tennessee, and Maryland. Total of 1,260 properties added over the counter. And then, of course, the big block here would be the auction properties. Mississippi had 128,000 go to tax lien auction in the past week. Michigan had another 3,000 added earlier in the month. Pennsylvania, we've been adding counties, which is why you see auction properties added here. Tennessee had quite a few added because Shelby County has some new auctions for 2025, so those are very long-term on the horizon. Indiana had a couple thousand more tax auction properties added that were at the coming up on the fall auction season there, so that's why you're seeing some additions there. Florida, 1,353. Those are going to be mostly the tax deed auctions that Florida has every month. New Jersey, we're starting to see them heat up here at the end of the year. That's consistent with last year that their season really kicks it up a notch late in the year. Texas, 637 new properties going to auction. Ohio, about 300. North Carolina, about 100. And then only 17 in New Mexico. That adds up to our 141,457. The auction calendar update. So far, we've tracked 7,429 auctions this year. And we're sort of increasing that pace as we add states. So you'll see this number going up even faster as we move later into the year. We do change and add auctions every day. So properties are added, properties taken out, auctions are added, sometimes even canceled. So we update these things daily. It's just a moving target that you should pay close attention to if you're planning to bid. As far as upcoming auctions go, there are right now 1,565 being tracked on our site that you can research and register and bid upcoming. And we have a new auction calendar feature update that I want to cover in this part of the video. This is, we're always trying to find ways to save you time, bottom line. And so a lot of times that has to do with the map search and the filters or maybe the over-the-counter reports. But this auction calendar has become sort of a hub for jumping off your research or giving you a starting point to jump into where the auctions are and what you want to see. So based on a lot of feedback, a lot of people have been asking to see whether the auction is online or in person on the calendar. Before, you had to actually go all the way to a property before it would tell you online or in person. But now you can actually see that indicator on the auction calendar. Let me zoom in a little bit. We really tried to make this not clutter up the calendar, but also be a quick visual indicator for you. So you see the in-person auction, you have the little map icon there. It means you have to be in that location. And then the online auction, we put the little lightning bolt. So hopefully that's a quick visual cue for you to scan through these auctions and decide where you want to be. Some states it's not going to make a difference. Maybe this state is entirely online or entirely in person. But this is a good example in Texas where you really do care. And if you're an out-of-state investor, you're going to really just pay attention to these online auctions, unless you plan to travel. So that's our feature update there. I know some of you have already noticed it and spoken out about it, so I'm glad there's some excitement about it. Hopefully it saves you a lot of time. So this is our auction calendar where we peel back and look at the entire year across all the markets and where we are today. It's funny, before today I've always chosen these horizontal lines to highlight the state and show you, but it makes a whole lot of sense if we just do this vertical block and just highlight where we are in the calendar. So I'm going to try that out this week. If you don't like it, let me know. So we are in August, and you can, if you kind of scan your eyes from the top of the screen to August and move down, you can see that we are in 16 different auction seasons right now. Some of them are year-round auction seasons, especially these at the bottom. But some of them are very seasonal. Like you notice Mississippi, really August is the only month we pay attention to their liens at this time of year, unless it's April. But really, we're just focused on that now. You see Maryland has an auction. Indiana's kicking off their fall auctions. So we have a lot of things to talk about here. We're going to see Arkansas. We're actually around, since we're into August, we're towards just past the midway point of their season. Michigan, we're at the beginning of their season still, but August was quite a few of their auctions, so we're going to cover that in this video, talk about how many are left. And you can see we're coming up quickly on South Carolina and Colorado. These blocks are a little bit aggressive because you're going to see the first of the lien auctions advertised in those green blocks. I don't think the first South Carolina auction, I don't think it happens in September. It could be at the very end of the month. But when you see these coming up, you know to get ready for those. So we'll talk about that some more. But this is your auction calendar where we stand at this point of the year. So on that note, let's move. I'm going to talk about our preview markets earlier in the video. Last week I called them test markets, but we're going to call them preview markets to be consistent with where we've called it other places. So right now we are doing previews on Missouri and Pennsylvania. And so we have 7 auctions tracked for August in Missouri. I don't think we're going to add any more. We haven't had a ton of feedback. The little feedback we've had were for these 7 auctions. So I think you have what you need right now in Missouri. It is short notice. I think there's only 6 more days. So if you think of something really fast you want to see in Missouri, let me know. We'll see what we can do. But Pennsylvania, we have a lot more to talk about. Their tax deed auctions, we're tracking 7 auctions right now there as well. But we're actually adding more because sheriff sales go year-round. There's actually several per month, per county in some cases. So Pennsylvania is going to be a fixture where you're going to see it every month. And right now we have these seasonal tax deed upset sales that we're covering as well. We are adding counties right now to that. If you have a county you'd like to see, please let us know. And we have some OTC deeds coming soon. I'm so excited about this because people ask for these all the time, and usually we have to tell people that, hey, you know what, there's only like 1 deed in that whole county that's over the counter. So there's not really worth your checking. But we've actually come across some pockets in Pennsylvania worth paying attention to. So you will see more about OTC deeds coming in Pennsylvania. That's very exciting for us. I would like for you to send us county requests if these markets interest you, especially Pennsylvania, since it has a year-round appeal. We won't spend a ton of time on this, but I'm going to show you Pennsylvania on the auction calendar. And just to point out, these sales, we have some of the sheriff sales and upset sales. Upset sales is what they call their tax deed auctions, that's all. It's not like North Carolina, not even the same rules at all. But you'll see September, there's a few of these auctions coming up, and the upset deed sales are pretty big. There's over 1,000 properties in these first 2 counties, actually York as well. So we'll keep adding those. There seems to be a good supply of properties. This is sneaking up on us quickly, so let us know if there's a county you'd like to see. Otherwise, we'll keep going down the list. And those sheriff sales you'll see every month too. You see Philadelphia has one on September 5th, and then another one September 13th scheduled. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Moving on to Mississippi, this is probably the biggest announcement of the week. The auction season is here, and if you blink, you will miss it because they only give you 2 weeks. We put this out last Monday. We immediately added the properties as they were being released to the public. So we've already had about a week for you to be looking at these. We put out a video on it last week. And so I'd love for you to check that out if you want to know how the auctions work there. And we have auction totals, the top counties, some comparisons to previous years, and really a tour of how our tools can save you time in Mississippi. So that video is on this channel. I highly recommend you watch it if you're considering Mississippi. It will go much more in depth than this video. While we're talking about Mississippi, let's touch on over-the-counter properties from the Mississippi Tax Forfeited Lands. We're under 7,000 OTCs. We've dipped below that number, and looks like we're staying there for a while. And this is the rate of change this year. May was the only month that really stood out. But in August, we did get 34 new over-the-counter tax deeds. There could be more coming. We'll just keep tracking this, and this will be interesting, especially going into next year, what to expect. Just a steady flow of over-the-counter tax deeds. While we're talking about Mississippi, it's just going to show you briefly. This is one of the ways that we can save you a ton of time. I have my search filter set for all counties in Mississippi, and if you remember, there's over 140,000 tax liens in there. We're going to filter by improvements worth $40,000 or more, and what you can see is that's 3,275 parcels that we've been able to lower this list down to, and actually out-of-state owners as well. So with that in mind, you're essentially taking whatever your strategy is, you're going to apply it to those filters and go through that process to save you time instead of having to go through 140,000 properties in a spreadsheet or something like that. Now you can look at the map like this and continue to filter. If you want to add more filters, you could take the amount of taxes owed and say, I want basically the price of the lien to be, the starting bid to be between $500 and $1,000. And I don't know if that's going to change it much, but if we run that search, that's going to change the results down to 699. So it changed it a lot. And of course, if I want to save these results to a list, I can save it on the side here and save it for later. If I want to do some research on it, I can download it to a spreadsheet, or I could just go view these exact same results inside of a grid over here and sort by the amount due or sort by the total value. These column headings are sortable. A lot of people don't know that until they try it. So this is a way you can take the entire map of Mississippi, pull 700 parcels out of the 140,000 available, and go work that list to get your bids into GovEase in advance of the auctions. Again, when you get a 2-week notice on an auction or the whole state worth of auctions, and there's 140,000 properties, you need to use tools and software to be able to get an advantage. Otherwise, you're just going to bid on a very small portion of the state and have a much smaller chance of winning liens that you would actually want to win. So we have, again, the other video is going to go in great depth about Mississippi's tax lien auctions. So if you're considering it all, please check that video out. Maryland, I included it earlier in the video because we're basically closing out the season. August 22nd, just a couple days, we have 2,000 plus tax liens advertised for Baltimore County. This will close out the Maryland tax lien auctions for 2024, at least we think it will. Now that I've said that, there's probably going to be some supplemental auction pop up or a second chance sealed bid or something. Sometimes we see those in the fall. But as far as planned auctions, this should be the end of the season. We'll keep you posted if that changes, of course. We do have a video covering this tax lien auction season and how these auctions work. If you're really just 2 days away from this last auction, you probably are in a position already to bid. But if you need that, that video is out there to help you. And again, short notice, but we do have photo and video scouting services. I hope you already knew that because we've had it for months for Maryland. We can send a scout out to get some photos or videos of properties, and if you're considering them, get you a bit of a heads up on what's there. So Maryland, if you wanted to check out the auction calendar, there's not a ton to see right now, but we're going to select Maryland here, and you'll see Baltimore online auction coming up, 2,100 parcels available. I can either map those properties or view them in a list. It's really up to you and how you prefer to do that. But you can see we don't have any other auctions planned the rest of the year for Maryland. Okay, so let's move on to Michigan. This is our newest full state that we have coverage on. So far we have 75 auctions complete with 32 remaining. So that happened fast. This season was just released in late July, and now 75 of those auctions have already gone, but there's 32 yet to come. We do have a video to help you out in Michigan if you're learning it. In short, it's a tax deed state with no redemption on these tax deeds. So by the time you're buying them, the redemption on those, they started off as tax liens and turned into deeds. Those have already passed. The foreclosure's already happened. It's past tense, so you're getting a redemption-free tax deed. If we look at the auction calendar in Michigan, you'll see here's the September auctions remaining. There's a mix of online and in-person, so that's important to pay attention to. And then, of course, August, we are 75 auctions in. So you can see actually 4 of them are today. So that's quite a lot of auctions happening every day in Michigan until they finish. So you'll notice that that auction was canceled. They just, all the properties must have been moved or taken out. So that's Michigan in a nutshell right now. Again, we have a great video that covers it in depth if you want to learn more about these auctions. That's on this channel that you're watching right now on Parcel Fair. So Arkansas's 2024 auction season is well underway at this point. We have 34 counties with auctions remaining, and the Commissioner of State Lands website, I always put that in here. That's a great resource for you. We're also tracking new over-the-counter tax deeds. We had 1,600 added in the last quarter of 2023 as kind of reference for you of these deeds get added within about 30 days of when the auction's complete. So that last quarter of 2023 was when most of the leftover deeds were added to the site to buy. So to illustrate how that played out in 2024, if you look at January through July, the first 7 months of the year, only 164 leftover deeds were added. That's not, not much compared to last year. But we're seeing that accelerate because in August, we've already had 166 tax deeds added just in 1 month. So that means we're getting to that part of the year where new leftovers are being added to inventory rapidly. You're going to see chunks of hundreds at a time per month if it's anything like last year. So it's a good time of year if you're not necessarily buying at the in-person auctions. These leftover auctions happen online, so you can actually participate in those. And those are, again, they're kind of like year-round purchases available through the Commissioner of State Lands. And these auctions run every day. So it's a great chance to buy these leftover tax deeds, especially as new ones are getting added for the rest of this year. The auction calendar for Arkansas. Let's show you how that looks. I'm going to change my state at the top here to Arkansas. And you see 24 completed in July, 27 in August, 24 more in September. And if you look at August, here's what's remaining. There's 5 auctions happening today. Actually, it's really 5 counties happening in one auction today, all in one location. So we have some more this week and then more next week and straight through the end of the month. There are some of the larger auctions remaining. You see anytime there's over 100 or 300, 200 parcels in these, those are pretty good size auctions to consider. And of course, these numbers will dwindle a bit as we get closer. We check daily for redemptions, and so every day these auctions potentially go down in number because of property redemptions happening in advance of the auctions. So let's talk about Indiana's fall season and the treasurer sales that are coming up. Technically, I would say the season starts tomorrow. The first auction we're tracking is tomorrow. We have over 50 auctions currently advertised and available to research on the site. We still expect some more counties to be added. We actually found a few more today that we're adding right now. We won't cover those in this video. Before we show you the auction calendar, there are foreclosure auctions that we track in Indiana. 44 of those happened in August, and we already have 50 scheduled in September, which we probably will have more. So the Indiana auction calendar, remember, we have this filter in the top right for states that have multiple types of auctions. We'll go foreclosures first, since I just mentioned it. If I filter by foreclosures, you see 44 in August and 50 in September. Pretty small auctions, usually less than 10 properties in an auction. Some of them online, some of them in person. Now let's switch over to tax auctions only. And we had, well, that was a sheriff sale, but so technically the first tax sale is August 21st tomorrow. And you'll see 859 properties in that St. Joseph tax sale. So that's a larger one. Then we move on to some smaller ones as well. And then September, things really kick off with 43 of these tax auctions. Mix of in-person and online. Looks like most of them are in-person. Interesting. I would have thought there were more online if I was guessing. So later in the season, you'll see we move into October. And so this season will stretch out at least early October. Could be more coming. So that covers the Indiana fall auction season plus their foreclosure auctions as well. So Texas is becoming a very steady market for us. We're seeing monthly auctions. The next month they will be on September 3rd. All the counties that are auctioning will auction on the same day. These are sometimes called judicial sales, sheriff sales, constable sales, and then we also have some lists of struck-off properties in the mix. We're tracking 90 counties now, but not all of them have auctions or properties to auction each month. So even though we may have struck-off properties for a county or pending auction, they won't necessarily show up on our auction calendar unless they schedule an auction. There will be more coming in September. We do have a video out on Texas that we put out a couple weeks ago. So I highly recommend if you're getting started in Texas, that video will give you the background information you need to get started. It will show you the steps to research and bid and where these auctions take place. A lot more content than we're going to put in this video. But that Texas video is on this channel for Parcel Fair. I highly recommend you go watch that if you're getting started in Texas. And meanwhile, let's take a look at the Texas auction calendar. We'll just collapse August because those auctions, they all happen on August 6th. So we're going to look at September. And September 3rd, we see 37 auctions right now. Again, we're tracking 90 counties, but only 37 of them have scheduled sales. And they're a mix of in-person and online. So if we wanted to check out any one of these, I would either click on here to view on a map. I guess we'll do that this time instead of a list. And now I'm just viewing the properties in that single auction. You can look on this right-hand side and get kind of a preview of what's in the sale. I can just scroll down until I find something I like. Let's say this property interests me. So now I'm on the parcel details screen looking at the report. This has all the vital information I need to either rule this property out or decide to go further with it. I can see that it's occupied. I have the address here and the total valuation breakdown up top. If I decide to move on with this property, I may use some of these other services or possibly go check out like the research links with the property card and the GIS map to see what the county says about it. This takes us directly to this property's report, and we call it property card. And I can do some deeper research here if that's if I want to just learn more about the property. Those research links on the right are helpful with that in many different ways for comps or market reports, owner skip tracing, all those different ideas you can use to get more on the property. But if I want to register for the auction and bid, you'll see the purchase options here. This will give us more information about when and where and how to move forward with this auction. So it's online with Real Foreclosure. I have a link to go register, is this blue button. I have information about the actual auction here, the yellow button, and of course a link to the auction list with the green button. So everything you need to take it from research to actually registering and bidding right there. So that's Texas. Again, check out our video on that if you want to learn more about how those auctions work. It's a very appealing market for investors, the highest interest rates in the country. The redemption rates are very generous as well, very investor friendly. Tennessee has an auction season that goes all year, 12% interest penalty on their tax deeds and a 1-year redemption. So that's a pretty good market for you if you're okay with the 1-year redemption. The upcoming auctions, we just knocked out 5 really quickly in August. I guess really 4 because Davidson was canceled, so we can't count that one as a completed auction. August, we still have Anderson and Hawkins coming up just in the coming days here. And then September 9th, we have a nice auction for Montgomery County. Unfortunately, Davidson canceled their September auction as well, so we have that on the calendar as canceled. Side note, the Shelby Land Bank is in Memphis always has over-the-counter properties available. That's really the only over-the-counter we track in the state. So let's check out Tennessee's auction calendar. August coming to a close here. They're the last two auctions with Anderson and Hawkins. Montgomery's a nice size auction with 185 or 151 parcels in that. Let's go view those briefly and just put them on the map. So you're looking at, this is the Clarksville area. To put it in scale, let me throw some county borders on the screen. So this is northwest of Nashville. Interstate 24 goes through there. It's kind of a, I mean, I've been through there quite a bit actually, but it's a nice sized city with a lot to look at around the Kentucky border here. But these properties we're looking at now, if we want to filter that down, let's go down to improvements only. 116 of them have improvements. That's a good chunk. Let's put a minimum of $100,000. That takes us to 89, still quite a bit. Let's see what that brings us. So if we're just kind of eyeballing these properties and seeing what we have here, you can view their a quick preview on the right hand side, and we'll show you. I think this preview window shows you the top 100 in the results. So then we just click find on map on one we want to see. I'm going to switch back to satellite so I can see rooftops here, and this is the property where I can actually see damage on the roof. So let's take a look at the report on this property, and I'm going to open the panorama view, see if we can see more about that rooftop. This, of course, is not real time. This photo could be old, but Google drove the car through here, and so we get a look at the neighborhood, get an idea of the house. So if we wanted to bid on this property, the good news is this auction is online with GovEase. We can essentially register and bid using these links, and learn more about the tax sale as well in these links if you want to find out more about that. GovEase is an easy platform to use. They're great at helping you bid in advance of the auction, so you don't have to be chained to your desk or sitting there for every last moment. So definitely one of the better auction sites to work with. So moving on, let's talk about North Carolina tax deed foreclosure auctions. These are in person. We do have new counties and new auctions added. 300 or almost 300 auctions in August. I'm a little wishful thinking there. 292 so far. We'll see if anything else shows up. There are 82 more scheduled already in September. And we do have a North Carolina deep dive video. I strongly recommend it. It's the intro to how these tax deed auctions work, because it can be tricky. There's 3 types of auction properties that we show you. There's the pending auctions that aren't scheduled yet. There's the scheduled auctions that have a date and a place and hopefully a bid if they've advertised it to us, an opening bid. And then we have upset bids, are the ones that already cleared auction but are kind of in this pending state where you can go upset the bid on it and keep the auction going. So it could be great if you're one of those people that like to upset. It could be terrible if you're the investor that won the auction and someone upsets you. So there's obvious jokes there to be made about you would be upset over that, but that's probably why they named it that. So anyways, if you want to learn more about North Carolina, we have that video. The auction calendar is here. One thing you'll notice right out the gate on North Carolina is a lot of these auctions have just, wow, that's a lot of auctions. Very few properties, sometimes one parcel, sometimes 2. And that's why there's so many auctions. They're just, they're all tiny little auctions, especially the upset bids are often just a single parcel that's going to be upset on that certain date. If we have multiple upset bids for the same county on the same day, we do group them into one auction for you just to make it easier for you to find. But you'll just, this kind of speaks for itself. A lot of little auctions, a lot of counties, and already 82 scheduled in September. I will say one of the trickiest things about North Carolina is that there's a massive advantage if you're located near the county you're bidding in, because you can actually place upset bids in person and do some of the in-person tasks without having to pay someone else to do it. Ohio, we're tracking sheriff sale auctions every month. They go throughout the year. These are really just tax deed foreclosure auctions for the most part, but they do mix in some mortgage foreclosures in there as well, so that can be a little confusing. Right now we're tracking 66 sheriff sale auctions in August, 45 more scheduled in September so far, and we do have an intro video on that if you want to learn more about Ohio. It's on this channel. Just check it out if you want to know how those auctions work. New Jersey, we had very little happening in August, but September is already starting to fill up. You can see the calendar here. We're not going to go much deeper than that, but New Jersey really heats up around October, November, December. So there's no surprise that September sort of ramps into that. I guess it's auctions scheduled late in the year, and they're trying to clear out the delinquencies. So if you want to know more about New Jersey auctions, we have a video on this channel that covers that as well. This just kind of gives you a taste of what's going on there. But in general, these are tax lien auctions that are pretty appealing, very investor friendly as well. Florida has a ton going on year-round. Their 2024 tax lien auctions did finish. They did release their over-the-counter liens as well. And as soon as we say the season is closed, Palm Beach has to go and have a supplemental tax lien sale on August 28th. That's next week. So if you wanted a chance to buy at auction some of these liens before they go over the counter, these should just be the leftovers from their June auction, but I guess the counties do this from time to time, and we'll catch them whenever we see them. The tax deed auctions, they go year-round. 78 of those auctions in August scheduled. We're already looking at 65 auctions scheduled for September. And then the foreclosure auctions go year-round as well. 332 in August. That's a lot of auctions, and then 284 that are scheduled so far in September. And then, of course, if that wasn't enough, you can buy over-the-counter liens and deeds all year long in Florida. We have all the tools to help you with that on the map search or the calendar. I won't spend much time on this, but actually let's, if we're looking at Florida there, we can also see Florida on the map. If you wanted to, let's just clear our filters and pick a county. And I'm going to say just show me over-the-counter properties. And this I did pick the biggest inventory of over-the-counter liens. But here are the liens available in Putnam County, Florida. Just tons of lots to choose from. A lot of the structures will have already been picked over and taken by now. So you can filter through any county in the state this way. And if you find one you like, just go to the find on the map and then go to the report on the property's details like this, and there's one tax lien available on this, and instructions to buy it are found right here under purchase options. That's this section right here, and when you click that big green button, it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to find and purchase this from real auction. And then back to the auction calendar, one of the things you're looking at a lot on their calendar in Florida, I like to filter down to just tax deed auctions like this and show me just the tax deed auctions on the calendar, and that's much more manageable. If I'm looking at that, I can see those month by month. Interesting enough, we already have auctions going out into November and December even. So great advance notice on some of these counties where you can look and plan well in advance for those tax deed auctions. Let's move on and talk about New Mexico. We're at a trickle right now in New Mexico. We're down to one auction that we're tracking for Los Alamos County. It's August 27th next week, so check that out on our calendar if you're interested in that. And we have a New Mexico tax deed auction video to help you as well on this channel, so check that out if you need some background info on how these auctions work. Virginia also slowing down. We're down to 2 auctions that we're tracking. Both of them are next week. So we have a video and photo video scouting services in Virginia. And then, of course, our video to help you get acquainted with the auctions there and how they work. That's on this channel. Colorado is in off-season right now, which means you can buy over-the-counters and foreclosure auctions, but their fall auction season is around the corner. From our discussion earlier in this video on the calendar there, it's we have already seen some dates announced, but not property lists. So in the meantime, you can enjoy these foreclosure auctions and over-the-counter liens. There are 16 of those auctions in August, 12 scheduled so far in September. And we do have an off-season investing video for Colorado that covers that if you need some help. South Carolina, very similar. We have an upcoming auction season coming very soon. We do have foreclosures on the site until then, and I'll show you those on the auction calendar. Just go to South Carolina. and you can see the foreclosure auctions here. Very similar to North Carolina, small auctions sort of scattered across the calendar. And we have them dating all the way into December. Okay. Alabama, we're getting into those markets that have very little going on right now. We do have some OTCs newly available. The resellers are working hard year-round to bring you properties in that reseller market. And we do have an off-season investing video that talks about over-the-counters, resellers, and all those things. And on our little tracker here, you can see we are here. We are at the end of August, moving into September, which is really that off-season time of the year. Louisiana, not a lot to go on here. The tax lien auctions have mostly passed, so all that's remaining are some of these pending auctions that we track, where you kick off the bid. Is mostly Civic Source. Make sure you understand what you're doing. Read the rules to those auctions before you bid on them. And we do have a few OTC over-the-counters available from New Orleans Redevelopment Authority. That site has been problematic to research and buy on, so it's not much we can do about that, but we will try to keep our side of the research up and running for you to help out. Arizona, maybe the quietest market of the bunch so far. We did get our OTCs added earlier in the year. 7,000 plus have already been sold. We're really just looking to next year unless you're buying OTCs. And then just a few more off-season markets that we cover: Iowa, Nevada, Oklahoma, Utah. Just not much going on in those. If you have OTC markets there that you think are worth adding, let us know. Otherwise, we'll leave those markets alone until they have auctions again. And that's it for the day. I really hope this helped you out, showed you places you should be paying attention to in these markets, whether you're buying liens or deeds or foreclosures. And if you like this video, please just like it on YouTube. Click the little button for that. And subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of this content. It helps us know that there's interest here and helps us plan going forward. So have a great week, and until next time.